Welcome back to the Cinema Sessions with myself, Keith, and as always,
Seamus, hello.
A Dubliner's Guide to Cinema. So I hope you've been enjoying the October spooky season so far. Mm-hmm. We've delved into some films.
Yeah. The highs and lows of
the
horror.
highs and lows of horror.
Yeah, the peaks and valleys.
Well, to be fair, we've scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, well, there's so much more you could talk about, like in the depths of people who are true horror fans. You know, it's endless. Like, you know, people who've seen all the Children of the Corn movies.
Oh God,
I can tell you,
Children of the Corn 19.
They speaking of, because that's a franchise. That was a Stephen King thing, wasn't it?
Yes,
there
I believe so.
Like
yeah.
fucking 12 of those or something.
Yeah, but like, see, the thing is, like with Stephen King, it's like the plethora of work that man has, like, and it's funny because it's always his short stories that tend to translate better to film than his longer form stuff.
Funny enough, yeah. Although in the horror genre, of course, The Shining is the big one, but
now,
as much as
controversially, I've never viewed that as a horror film ever. I can't even watch it because I know people. I know we were discussing doing it for this, but I don't view it as a.
Yeah, well, I think any interpretation of that film is kind of valid. Like, there are people who just watch it and just say it's so scary, and I honestly don't really relate to that as much as the film unnerves me.
Yeah, it's definitely unnerving.
Yeah,
definitely. But I've never viewed it as, my God.
Yeah, well, it's one
of
those
horrific.
Well, actually, the film we're tackling today, for me, because when I think of a horror film, I think of being a certain age and sitting down in front of the TV with like a VHS or whatever it was on and thinking what movie would satisfy you. And The Shining would be, I would imagine, the 12-year-old sleepover scenario, the most unsatisfying kind of film.
Because The Shining asks a lot of questions.
Yeah, and it's a lot about like very grown-up kind of issues, as much as there is, like, you know, axes and all this in it, but like the build-up to that is
long.
Like, I think you have to be an adult to really get it, but we may still talk about that.
We
there's
will,
so much to talk about with that one. But that's not what we're talking about today,
no.
is it, Keith?
Today we are talking about the third installment in the Hellraiser franchise, Hellraiser 3.
Hell on Earth.
Hell on Earth. I was about to say Hellbound, but that's the second one.
That's the second. Yeah, the subtitles tend to get mixed up, but you wouldn't confuse this with the first or the second.
Not a chance. But the thing that's confused, just an aside before you begin your spiel, because the second one isn't called Hellraiser, it's called Hellbound, and Hellraiser 2 was plastered over it after the fact.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, it is a continuation of the same story and stuff, but it was meant to be a different title. It wasn't meant to be called Hellraiser, but obviously studios and franchises and, oh no, we have to have brand recognition and
I think actually this one was Hell on Earth, and then again Hellraiser 3 was there. This was more of a commercial kind of a prospect, but we'll get into that, yeah. So for the uninitiated, Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth is a supernatural horror film from 1992, directed by Anthony Hickox and written by Peter Atkins, starring Terry Farrell, Doug Bradley, Pinhead, and Kevin Bernhardt. The film is the third entry in Clive Barker's Hellraiser franchise. The story follows journalist Joey Summerskill, who becomes entangled in the nightmare world of Pinhead after a mysterious sculpture containing his imprisoned soul is uncovered in a New York nightclub. Which is actually what happens in the film. When you hear it said like that, as Pinhead is unleashed, he begins creating new Cenobites, which we'll go into, and bringing hellish chaos to the real world. The film has a 5.5 rating on IMDb with a Metacritic critic score of 50% and a user score of 6.8. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a critic score of 39% and an audience score of 35%, which is surprisingly low. Produced on a budget of around $5 million, Hellraiser 3 grossed approximately $12.5 million worldwide. And on a personal note, friends, isn't the real hell other fucking people? Yes, it is. A quick note on that total for the gross, that's what I was able to find, but it's one of those ones where it says worldwide gross 12.5 million, US and Canada gross 12.5 million. So for older movies, sometimes it's hard to tell. I'd imagine it did make more than that worldwide. Although that was surprisingly low for how kind of popular the character was at the time. It was a very well-known character. Pinhead.
Yeah. See, because like obviously I don't think we can begin this without harking back to 1 and 2. In the original, which I think is fantastic. And I rewatched in the run up to this just to re-enter the world and the lore of the Cenobites and what have you. And when you watch the first one and you look at it in the context of, say, this film or even the second one, and you're like, Pinhead is not. He's not he's credited as the lead Cenobite.
Yeah.
He's not credited as Pinhead. Pinhead is a nickname that was given by the hair and makeup. And that stuck.
It is obviously very appropriate. But
yes. Yeah.
I want to say even he was so not the lead guy that it was like, well, he's the one with the least kind of restrictive prosthetics, so he's the one who does the talking. It was something like that. Like, it was just nearly a fluke that he became.
Because even in the book that the series is based on, The Hellbound Heart, written by Clive Barker, who wrote and directs the original film, it's Pinhead. Nothing like that is mentioned. If I'm not mistaken, now I haven't read it yet. I have ordered it, so I haven't read it. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw that he's not the High Priest of Hell or something like that.
Okay,
that's what he's referred to as in the book.
Yeah.
But like, in terms of when you're watching the first one, the female Cenobite, and that's all she's called in the credits, is Lady Cenobite, because her nickname was Deep Throat. So they did.
Fuck.
So they didn't, because she has this gash on her neck.
Yes.
And but her and the way they manipulate her voice, she's scarier than Pinhead.
In the and even for the sequel, Claire Higgins was the actress's name. She is the main character and the main villain essentially of the first film, and then she was the one they followed in the second one.
Yeah.
And Pinhead just happened to kind of be in there. And as far as I know, they would have gone the same way with the third one. Now, maybe not, but they were thinking of it. And apparently during the making of the second one, the story is in no uncertain terms. She said, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm not doing this again. She is, by the way, fantastic in especially the first one. Like, the first one is just a great film.
Because obviously you look at, like, it spawned 8 sequels or something, and each one getting worse and worse and worse. Except I do hold the 1 and 2 in very high regard.
Yeah.
But after that, you can definitely see studio manipulation in Hellraiser 3, and it's apparent throughout.
Yeah.
And it completely takes it's just fucked up by studio execs.
Well, what I found strange is how Americanized this is. But Anthony Hickox is British, or he's South African. I think he seemed to have a very British connection. The whole thing now was filmed in the US, but the whole style of it is
but even
so
that
different.
alone, because these were all, the 1 and 2 were shot on sound stages in London. Like, everything, it feels different.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Well, just even the incidental actors and like they just look British in the first. There's a few bits now where they weirdly, like halfway through the film, they seem to kind of go, oh fuck, we better kind of tip the hat that this might be set in America. There's a few Yank accents.
Yeah.
But everyone in it just looks British. Like, make it up what you will when you look at the deal. But no, the first, like, to give this film, to place this film, I suppose how I would come at it. The first one in particular, I'm not as familiar with the second one, though I've seen it, is the first one is just such a great film. It's about like inappropriate lust and like being unhappy with your life, and hating a person even though they're not a bad person. This film is about someone with CDs stuck in his head who throws them as fucking nunchucks. Which there's something to be said for.
It's like, it's comedic. It leans, and Anthony Hickox, previous to this, is it Waxwork?
Waxworks 1 and 2, which are films I haven't heard of outside of the context of this.
Because I was reading about him, and a lot of fans have of the series have a theory that he's a horror comedy director, so he didn't really know how to deal with actual terror. Do you know what I mean? Which is why, because not to blow me loud too early, but like, what they've turned Pinhead into in this is a fucking mockery of what he actually is and what the source material represents. Because it's some heavy shit, like, do you know what I mean? It's all about, it's not 7 deadly sins or anything, but it's about human impulses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Big time.
And the thing that I always loved about it was, there's no difference between your lust for love or the body, the flesh, and Pinhead's lust for the flesh. So they're so they seem like they should be opposed, but they're not. It's one and the same.
It's you who's moving towards him. You know, like
so that's the whole thing. So obviously, for those who don't know, you have a Leviathan. Oh no, sorry, not Leviathan.
It's a lament configuration.
Yeah. Leviathan is the god of hell in the second one.
Yeah,
which they completely throw out in the third one. But like
they ignore a few bits and bobs now for the third one.
But so that's the reason why it's so interesting is because and there's a great line that I think should be said from the second one. It's where Frank reappears towards the end and Kirsty's in hell. And it's not what we think of as hell. Fire and brimstone. And there's actually a great line in this, and it's one of the few great lines, but we'll get to that when it comes to it. But it basically mentions that. And so Frank then explains that because Kirsty in the second one, who was the protagonist in the first two films, is searching for her father, who she assumes is in hell.
It's very potent. She's gone to look for him in hell. Like
Frank tells her, "What, you think the dead are here?" Which is a very interesting key component. So essentially, what I think it's saying is the dead are dead, whereas we saw out the box. We saw out the pleasure, which is why they're in hell. Yeah, which is a really, and it's so cool because it's not a throwaway line. It really does inform the ending of Hellbound. Yeah, well, and then it's just gone.
Yeah, well, the first one, Clive Barker, and then the guy Peter Atkins, I think was his name. Yeah, he was. They were very of a mind about it, like, and they were really getting at something. Whereas with this film, it's funny when you said like your man. The film isn't actually trying to be funny, but it is kind of ridiculous. Yeah. And it reminded me of. Do you remember Eminem? Like all of his, like most of his songs were like kind of goofy or like not goofy, but like trying to be funny. And then I remember he did Stan, and I was like, how are they going to do the music video for Stan? Because this is like his first thing that's really serious. And I was like, this could be really good. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's as if a comedic director just didn't change their style, but just happened to leave out the jokes. And it still was like outrageous and cartoony. Like it's a pretty terrible video, even though your man was kind of... It reminds me of this, like your man is still doing the Evil Dead 2 kind of thing. Yeah. It's just... Which is amazing, by the way, that film. I haven't seen the Waxwork things. But he's just... Like, he made a completely different style of film, which I can see why some people react to it.
And because Pinhead is the philosophical kind of... In terms of... like, because Pinhead, because of what happened from this film and later, has been lumped in with Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and the likes. But that's not what he is, and that's not what he was ever.
No, he was just the most kind of grabbing visual from the other films, but he's not like the main villain. Although in the second one they do touch on like he is himself for a bit towards the end, I think, in the second one. Yeah,
so what happens is Kirsty finds out that they were human before.
Yes.
Which because we see in the second one that the doctor from the Chennard Institute is turned into a Cenobite, quite a horrific Cenobite. Yeah. The thing is, and this film loses that as well. Jesus Christ, if you've turned off, I apologise.
Yeah, well, like in the other films, you become a Cenobite, like say, because you're a bad guy. Whereas in this one, it's just like, hey, you're a Cenobite. Yeah. Like,
and it's not even that. I'm trying to find the right words because I'm trying not to completely slate this before we actually discuss it. But they've just completely... And it's like, because I read what was meant to happen in this, and it is so much more interesting than what actually happens. Now, it would have played out similar, like in how the film plays out, but like things like the ending and all. Like Clive Barker's only involvement in this was he was shown a rough cut essentially and said, "No, you need this, and all of that went into the film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. There's bits towards the end where I'm like, okay, I can see that was probably a reshoot or they wanted to add that and all this. Yeah. So, yeah, the main issue, we can maybe kind of hop into the film here, is like our first character we meet in this, and you know immediately it's a very different beast because like the kind of people you'd see in the first one, like Claire Higgins, she's actually... Yeah, take a drink, guys. Very, very sexy in the first one. But she isn't like a glamorous kind of a person.
She has confidence. She builds sex
appeal. her husband is played by the guy who's the villain in Dirty Harry, guy called Andy Rock, fucking amazing actor, who again is not a glamorous looking type of guy. They look kind of like real people and they fit, I think, very well into that dowdy kind of like British setting. The first guy we see in this is a fucking buff Giga Chad model type of like fairly ridiculous. He does look caricaturish, honestly, the way he's done. And you're already like, all right, and even the lighting style is very kind of glitzy, and you're like, oh, okay.
Because they do try to attempt, because there's always some kind of homeless guy or something floating around, even in the first two. Yeah. But in this one, it's just,
well, the guy
he looks a bit like Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, he actually looked pretty good, but he was like a fucking awful actor. He just reads everything like very, very flat. All right, there's something not. He has a line that was, he just kind of goes, hope you enjoy it as much as I did, or something like that, and he just says it completely flat, and I'm like, shouldn't he be like, I hope you, but
and
that's not the way they went with it.
Here's probably the first thing that pisses me off. He gives them money. Now, if you can remember, in previous films, the money's not accepted. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's like, oh no, it's for you, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does treat it as like unimportant, but he still takes it, you know.
Yeah, because he takes the money and goes, oh, that's exactly what I had in mind, like.
Well, the other thing I had a problem with was I was like, that thing looks like shit. What the fuck are you buying it for?
If you see at the end of
I thought it looked better at the end of the second one.
It's unbelievable, and it comes up out of the ground.
And it is creepy, and it's kind of wood and all.
And now, I mean, I can kind of understand, because there is moving parts on it. Like, you see Pinhead's face move.
It doesn't look like something you would buy in an art gallery. No. At the end of the second one, but...
And I mean, obviously time has passed and all that, but still, it just looks... It's a grey fucking...
Yeah, now, to be fair to the film, the guy is meant to be kind of a tacky jackass, so he might look at it
and to be fair, it is done... like, his apartment is just...
is ridiculous.
Highfalutin fucking Giga Chad nonsense.
We'll get into... Actually, his is okay. There's another apartment in it that I'm like, really? So then, I think soon after that, we're introduced to our actual main character, Terry Farrell, who many people will know as Jadzia Dax from Deep Space Nine, which is not as good as The Next Generation, but is very good. Just want to piss a few people off there. It is an excellent show, though, and I knew her well from that. Again, we're in very different territory here from, like, the characters, especially in the first one, who are these... It just was so British, the first two, which it really worked for it, like this kind of grey, dowdy guy. And she's a sexy news reporter who's like down in her luck and was waiting for the great story. Real like Hollywood kind of stuff. But, you know, for what it is, I will say, obviously I don't compare this very well to the first two, but I hold that comparison of if I were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, Halloween night, sleepover, Pinhead's on the box. Well, at that age, this was the film I wanted more than the other ones, because it's fucking loud and obnoxious and gory and, you know, all this. And it's more straightforward kind of thrills. So, like, in a way, like, this is kind of what an audience would go for.
Because that's what the whole point was. We need to make this more... Because you're asking too many questions, Clive. You're challenging the audience too much, Clive.
Whoa, what's this? She's married and she wants to bang some other guy?
Exactly.
Oh, that's not cool. You know, CDs, they're cool.
Yeah.
But
that's it. But that's it. Because, I mean, like I said, I alluded to it at the start, but this has just studio... nonsense, and
it has like American bullshit all over
like,
it.
I mean, 90s
Hollywood
going off
bullshit,
everywhere.
like the American. Now we're introducing this scene to our cameraman, who I wrote down his name, Ken Carpenter, who for some reason is dubbed over and is a fucking horrendous actor, even though he's dubbed over. And why they chose him he actually has a good look to him.
Do you know what? Actually, I didn't realise he was dubbed over. And do you know what I was thinking? We might have to find this out mid podcast, because I was like, that sounds like James Remar from Dexter.
Really? Oh, maybe. I couldn't tell you now. It's so weird. Once you get past like the 60s and 70s, like Bond movies or Italian movies, they don't tend to just dub a performance anymore. And they did do it with him. And it's possible now it was his voice and they just did it poorly, because there is a scene with the Giga Chad guy in the bar where he's chatting up the blonde one, and the dubbing is quite bad at that moment, but it must be his voice because he's in the rest of the film. Yeah. I found it weird, and he's so bad. It's like, hey, don't worry, kid, you'll get your break. Oh, Jesus. And again, she's introduced saying this kind of funny dialogue like, hey, I'm here tonight reporting, even though there's nothing fucking happening.
Yeah.
But After that, it is fairly effective. I like the way there's the nurse who takes out the kind of danger-sucking implements.
Yeah.
And then she steps out into the corridor, and it's just enough. It's dark and underlit, which a hospital would never be, but it's empty. And there's just enough where you're like, all right, this is uncanny valley creepy as opposed to a bit too much.
Yeah.
And then, then this is where 13-year-old me was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and then
even though I didn't see it.
So for anybody who doesn't know, in the Hellraiser series, chains are very prevalent throughout.
It's very BDSM and all this.
Yeah,
and
we can get into Clive Barker.
Yeah. I will just say, if I bring up this stuff and I say something completely wrong, it's because I'm talking out my hole, and I haven't even seen 50 Shades of Grey. That's how, which is all wrong apparently.
Well, yeah, we may as well just say it now. Clive Barker is a self-confessed sadomasochist, which when you look at how the Cenobites are dressed, you can definitely see them in a leather bar somewhere.
Yeah, it's what gives the film a real charge. Yeah. Is he's obviously kind of putting his own feelings in.
Yes.
He's an interesting guy, Clive Barker. In the 80s, he's a skinny little guy, and he's obviously like, but nowadays, or maybe not nowadays, but like in the 90s and tal, he was like this fucking jack guy, and his voice now is like, oh, I'm Clive Barker. And at the time, he was not that guy at all, but he obviously had this.
He got some of that Hollywood money in.
I guess so, yeah. He did. Part of the lore of this was he lived out in Hollywood at the time, but no, very interesting guy, very, very talented. And he was really onto something like with his vision.
He calls himself a 6 on the sadomasochist scale. Now,
good Lord.
If you look at how they're dressed, I can't imagine that's a 6. Do you know what I mean? That's someone who's seen some shit. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, okay.
Look, for a horror film, it works.
Yeah, I mean, it did something like, it's that thing of like, oh, it's exciting, but which is where real disturbance and real. He did say, I heard again, we bring up Quentin Tarantino a lot, but he was talking about Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix one, but he was talking about how it's subversion on a massive level, and he said, I got that from Clive Barker, who said, yeah, maybe my Hellraiser film, the first one, is a little compromised, but this is a film with that kind of shit in it that's in like 600-700 cinemas. That's subversion on a massive level. And yeah, the film is unusual. The first one is unusual and like disturbing.
Oh yeah, there's some great body horror and stuff in it. Like,
yeah, whereas this one is this guy who's wheeled into the hospital explodes, like, which is actually, good crack and all that.
Because even at the end of, but to be fair, like at the end of the first one, what's happening to the guy on the gurney is what's happening to Frank at the end of the first one. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, there's that stuff, and that's a great line. Like, Jesus wept. Yeah. No, but this is an incident, but it is actually fairly well done. They wheel him in, it gets all chaotic, and there's the chains hanging off him, and you kind of go, oh right, yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens here, and this is kind of it intruding into the real world. Like, when you're injured, you go to the hospital, even though it doesn't make any sense,
none whatsoever,
in terms of the continuity of the thing. I did notice, and it's done so quick, it's a little odd. I did notice the guy is wearing one of those bum bags or fanny packs.
Oh.
I don't know what the fucking. You're one who wheels him in. So the actress who's the main character is called Terry Farrell, but the character she meets, the young one, her name is Terry, the character's name.
Yeah.
She says, I think he was a thief. He stole this box. So maybe it was some kind of thing of like, that's where he sticks his fucking stuff that he robs.
Yeah.
He seemed to be dressed like a tourist or something. It's done very quick, but I was like watching, I was like, is he wearing a fucking bum bag? Like, what the fuck? Whatever the thought was there. But these chains are on him, attached to nothing. They're stuck up in the air. All the doctors are freaking out, and they rip him apart and he explodes. And it is actually pretty cool.
It's cool looking, but just in terms of what we're meant to be watching, it's completely. We spoke last week about Psycho 2 and how it continues, and there's a lot of continuity and throwback. There's none whatsoever in this film.
No. This is just like, hey, this would be cool, and
yeah.
She needs to be introduced to the story. I do think there is a bit in it where I actually rewatched it twice for this, and the first time I rolled my eyes, and the second time I was like, I was a bit harsh, but. There's a clip, like, there's things in his face, and he fucking literally explodes, and then it cuts to the heartbeat thing, like, and I'm like, that's a trifle unnecessary. He just fucking exploded. But when I watched it again, I was like, okay, they're just doing the mood thing of, like, that's the sound in the room, but I was like, oh, all right. But then she becomes interested in it, and the young one who says, I don't even know the guy, I just met him, and she tells the lead actress, I met him at the boiler room, which becomes a big thing later on. Yeah. So our intrepid reporter becomes kind of obsessed with this story, and she goes to the boiler room, which is A typical kind of Hollywood nightclub kind of a thing.
I mean, it's borderline like ridiculous. I don't know. Like these places don't exist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's
like the Iceberg Lounge and Batman. Like, do you know what I mean?
They don't all these
exist.
Things hanging, and they've like topless dancers and they've live music,
like baby borns with knives hanging from the ceiling. And all. Like it's just like nowhere exists like that.
Yeah,
it's just it's some studio exec who never got out of his. He moved from his ma's house to the big city and never did anything except work in the office.
Yeah,
and he thinks this is what a nightclub is.
Yeah, it's pure. I mean? It's pure movie Hollywood kind of stuff. And there is like, it doesn't bother me, but there's a bit where she's like, "Hey, I'm looking for this really pretty girl," and there's a guy's like, "Oh, you want JP Monroe?" I'm like, "What? Wouldn't he just be like, what are you talking about?" But
see, the version of this I watched was like a fucking director's cut, right?
Yeah.
So there's extra bits.
I saw that one as well. Yeah.
Oh man, I hate it.
Yeah, they're very,
and they're all out of focus as well.
Yeah,
like.
they're very. It's actually taken from a laser disc, and I will tell you, I don't know what the process is for putting a laser disc quality thing on like a HD or 4K thing, but when you watch them on a 4K TV, they look a lot better than that kind of stuff does. I don't have the original one, but it is a shame because actually some of those bits, I'm like, that would actually be good because some bits, it is actually a little more played out than whatever the director's cut is for some bits. And there was extra bits. I think there was the topless dancer and the uncensored stuff and all this. But somehow, I think the idea is...
But see, the thing is, even the topless dancer, right? I can see why they cut it out of like the theatrical thing. And I don't think it was a censorship thing. Because you see a woman in the actual version and she's dancing, she has a bra on. You don't need to see her take her top off.
Like, it is just pure.
It just goes gratuitous. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I
mean? But, something to be said for that. But is the idea, by the way, that he owns the nightclub and the nightclub is connected to that fancy restaurant because they don't really tie them together that well.
No, but it appears that way.
Okay.
And then obviously he has an apartment within the
play, which is fine. I don't really mind that. It is a little like, Jesus, would you not be fucking deaf from all the, although it's seems to be meant to be soundproof or something. But she goes into him and though she wants information from him, openly insults him because he offers her, he's like, yeah, whatever the fuck. Offers her rose and he goes, "I'm not your type, I'm at a grade school or something." And I was like, all right, well, he's never going to talk to you again. But luckily for her, Terry sees her and kind of thinks, okay, you seem to be into this, and she's all. That character is quite good. The Terry character, like she seems like kind of a damaged like person who's like, and the actress plays it quite well, I think. Yeah. So following on from that, your one Terry calls over to her.
Joey, yeah.
Yeah. Now, like,
she's having a dream.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it's the first introduction. So her father was in Vietnam and died in Vietnam, so she's never met him.
Yeah.
And she's just dreaming about how he might have died and what have you. Yeah,
her father died in the part of Vietnam that looks like the forests of North Carolina. Well, look, it was a low budget thing, and it's effective enough. Yeah, so your one calls her and she invites her over, and she's very good in that scene where the character is Terry. The actress is called Paula Marshall.
Yeah,
and I swore I'd seen her in something else, but I when I looked through her credits, I was like, no, I don't think so. But she might be someone I saw on a TV show, and it kind of slipped my mind. She's very good. My problem here is the main character is supposed to be this kind of down on her luck reporter, and her fucking apartment is
unreal.
Like, it's like 2 levels, and it's this huge like floor to ceiling window looking out over the view and all this. And I was like,
and the stupid thing about that is that, right? So obviously there's a conversation between them, and she explains, "Oh, it's the box. This is what happened, right?" But there's a scene after this now where the Giga Chad guy, JP Monroe, gives the girl the flower.
Yeah.
And it cuts back, so he brings her to bed and he's having sex with her. Oh, actually, no. He sticks his hand inside the...
Yeah, that was a pretty fucking stupid, because I'm like, so what? You don't even see what it is. He puts his hand in the thing and it's like a rat or something that bit him, and then the blood from his hand kind of... That is continuity, like blood will kind of reawaken the thing and all this.
So the blood is absorbed by the statue.
Yeah, so was it just like a coincidence that the rat was in there, or was like some kind of a...
malevolent force behind the scenes? Like,
yeah, which... all good.
I would say I would lean more to coincidence.
Yeah, it did just seem a bit hinky, like which you need to get to a certain point in the story. But
and then it cuts back to Terry making breakfast.
The two Terrys, yeah. I do like the interplay between those because you get the feeling with your one, the character Terry, that she doesn't have anyone to talk to, or she's someone who's like the life and soul of the party when the party's on, and then at the end of the night you're like, where are you staying? And she's like, I don't know, could I stay with you? And you're like, no, I'd rather you. Like, you just get that vibe off her. She played it quite well. Like, she was quite talented. Terry Farrell is okay, I would say, in general. Like, there's one or two bits where she doesn't quite commit enough, and
but like even this back and forth where she burnt the breakfast, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna boil the water, and he goes, no, I'll do it, and he's like, no, I really like boiling water. Like, and it's like, I don't need any of that shit. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think,
and then just to allude to your point about the view, and they make a point of it, because Terry goes, oh my god, this is such a great place. Look at that view.
Yeah, I actually, the way she replied, and I was like, is this kind of trying to make the car... Her reply is like, well, I'm kind of used to it. And I was like, oh, fuck you. Like, you're a bit of an arsehole, aren't you?
I thought you went down in your luck.
Yeah, it was the other fucking thing. Like, if they'd done something where, like, her mother was some rich and powerful businesswoman, but as far as I know, they don't really explain that. No. But this is the scene, and this kind of tells you what movie you're watching, because your one takes the box... It was either in the previous scene or here, but it's during this interaction. She takes the lament configuration out of her purse or whatever, and she like spins it towards the camera with this enormous wide angle lens, and I think even the camera kind of moves a bit, and like, we're in a rather different film to the other two. Like there's wide angle lenses in the camera. Some of the moves are actually quite good, I have to say. Like, they're very well done, but it is very Michael Bay-esque as opposed to you know, the others. Even though this was pre kind of Michael Bay, but he had to be fair, like, it was quite a low budget, and the movie looks more expensive than it is,
definitely,
which apparently was his kind of forte, that guy. But yeah, we're chugging along. It's a big, broad film. If I were 13, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, this is all good.
So we cut back to JP Monroe having sex.
Yeah.
In the weirdest position ever, I might add.
So yeah, he gives a rose to whatever girl he likes the most. And what is really bizarre about this sex, he until the very end, he keeps a cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah.
And apparently the actress said, I don't want to show my breasts on film. So the compromise was, he has his hand, which I was like, it's not even worse. So his hands are covered her fucking tits, and he's like really fucking rubbing into them. Like he was
should have rubbed her out. Like,
yeah. My God in heaven. And
then we see the first glimpse of Pinhead open his eyes.
Yeah. So yeah,
fucking stupid, by the way.
Yeah, like we'll get into that, but which is inappropriate to say during a sex scene. But yeah, the guy, and at the end he kind of goes like, when he's busting his nut, I guess he kind of puts his arms in. And he's like, well, he's enjoying himself at least. Like, for fun. But a fair play, like the guy, he actually put in a good bit of effort there. But he's
Kevin Bernhardt. I was reading apparently he didn't really know what he was getting into. Do you know what I mean?
I can believe that.
He wasn't. He for whatever reason spoke out saying, "I'm not a horror fan." I genuinely didn't know what I was getting into. Like, so I think he probably distanced himself from it.
Yeah, well,
which says a lot for a fucking unknown actor to go. Whoa.
Yeah, one of the audio commentaries, one of the guys was like PR on the set or something, and he said he didn't say anything bad about Kevin Bernhardt, but he said he was a little more isolated because I think it was hard. He said he was such a different guy from the character, which must mean he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He found it difficult, and he was kind of trying to do a method thing. Like, fair play to the guy, although I think it kind of undercut it. He's such a fucking Chad, like with the hair, and like he's fucking mad buff. It seems kind of incongruous with the film, although they were going for more of a Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
But like the scene kind of becomes, but it is kind of a ridiculous.
Yeah.
Scene. So like the way it's set
what
up,
happens here, right? So they get into an argument. He's cleaning off his boots.
Yeah, I do actually like the way he behaves in that scene. Like, he is just like, whatever. Like,
get out.
Just get out.
Yeah. And she gets ready, hot and bothered.
Yeah.
And she makes the unfortunate decision to stand in front of the statue.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, the plastic head, which was Hellraiser, or which was Pinhead, is now Doug Bradley standing inside the box.
Yeah.
And all the chains come out of the statue.
That's okay, yeah. And the bit where it just rips her skin off and she's still alive.
Yeah, I know. I did hate the one where he's like, and it shoots out of his mouth.
Yeah, where he's screaming, that's stupid.
Yeah, and it shoots out of his mouth and sticks in her forehead. Yeah. Now, it is a cool effect, I will say, when it just rips the clothes and the skin off her.
Yeah.
And then it sucks. But see, the thing is, it pulls her in, standing up, and then the next shot is her.
Yeah, I was like, are they going to do the thing where she kind of breaks her back to get in, but they don't. She just gets sucked in. But it is like grand. Like
That's all right.
It's a kind of, again, when you're 13, I'll be
it's
like,
badly
cool.
like it, when you see the shot of her actually going in, it's even though it's different colors, the effect is done badly at that point because it looks like it's one thing.
Everything, yeah,
it looks like it's one thing. Like it doesn't look like it's something going into something.
No, exactly.
There's no lines. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're dead right. Yeah. It's like apparently I think that was a reshoot. Or certainly Clive Barker alluded to the fact I said you should rip her skin off or whatever. And it is pretty out there for like we talked about the Terrifier recently. It's not quite in that territory, but it's pretty, like you wouldn't feel like you're shortchanged by it, the gore.
See, the thing
of it,
is, the one thing that I always respected about the original, and even in this, because I'm fairly sure now, I watched it twice, but I was kind of half watching the second time. But they do, the makeup is really good on the bodies. When they skin them, like, because it's a running theme throughout.
It's
good, and it's like really good, like, and it's anatomically correct as well, like, because they have the muscle and like,
fair play,
There's a lot of effort went into it, like.
Now effort went into the next thing, but a bit more thought should have gone into it. So Pinhead is talking from within this pillar, and it just looks like an actor with his head through a fucking cutout hole, standing there, and it's undercutting of the Pinhead.
like this is what I was saying. It's a departure from Pinhead, the philosophical. Oh, but is he right? Is what he's saying correct? To this kind of, I would say, Freddy Krueger-esque in terms of his dialogue. It's more snappy one-liners.
Yeah, a fan would say they don't go quite that far, which they don't, but it is way more. The Venn diagram now is more Freddy Krueger than the original. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's because they turn, like, one of the most horrific things about, the scariest things about the original Hellraiser is just, he'll say a line of dialogue and that's it, he'll give it space. But this is just a big long speech as to why he's...
the kind of...
And he knows who JP Monroe is, which tells you that, like, that's also retconning the rest of them, because they don't know who's calling them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he can tell you personal things about it.
Yeah, he's like, that's the gun you used to shoot your parents.
Yeah, there was a moment where I was like, maybe they're going to go somewhere interesting with it, because for a moment your man kind of rejects it, and he's like, what you did was fucking evil, man. I was like, they're going to play up on this, and then 5 seconds later he's kind of back. But
like, there is a great line when he first wakes up and JP Monroe goes, Jesus Christ, and then he goes, not quite.
Yeah,
like, that's a good line.
That's okay.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm on board for that. Yeah,
because there is a couple of good lines in it, even though it is played for more, I wouldn't say comedic, but it's definitely just not. It's a mockery of what Pinhead was supposed to be.
That line rides the line a bit better than some of the other kind of stuff. Although I don't know, even in the fourth one, I didn't see any after that.
The best line in the fourth one is, if you cross us, we'll tear your soul apart.
Which is the one where, because it was in an ad that I used to watch a lot, because I recorded something where he says, please no tears, it's a waste of good suffering. Is that the second one?
The second one, yeah.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
But like, again,
please no tears.
Yeah, he's brilliant as Pinhead. I have a few issues with him as his regular kind of self, but I think, so here, isn't it where our two intrepid leads characters try and track down where they got the pillar, where he bought the pillar.
And it's an abandoned...
Yeah. And some random guy is just like, no, he couldn't have bought it last month. The guy's away on holiday. So they break in, naturally. And your one finds, they obviously had some background details on because they bought it from the asylum, which is all fine. Like, why would they have those? Because they even have like a picture of who Pinhead originally was that somehow came with the pillar. But like, look, you need that kind of thing. So I think she gets a videotape from the archive.
So what happens is they find the files in a cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's all the details of the Chennard Institute, which is heavily in the second one.
Good name, Chennard.
Yeah. Where Kirsty, the protagonist from the first two, has been put after what happens in the first film.
Yeah.
And it's basically, apparently from reading that, they read about all what she claims has happened and everything, and there's talk of a videotape within the files, and then I think it's the following scene, and she's arguing with the guy on the phone.
Yeah, which is again just kind of a shoe leather scene, but it's all good. Yeah, and the character Terry has moved into her apartment, and there is a funny scene. I don't know why I found it funny, but they cut to her in the apartment, and she's reading a book like Battles of the 20th Century. So I kind of got the feeling weirdly, maybe I'm doing my own writing of it, as you kind of say, but she's someone who's like actually genuinely kind of a curious person, and she's never had access to something like that. So I kind of like, I make up for lost time, I'll read this book, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. And I think soon after that...
Or you could see, I'm going to pretend like I'm reading this so I look smart.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
But there is more depth to her character. She's actually one of the... It's kind of a shame she kind of gets kind of taken out of the story after a while. But so then we watch the videotape, which... To be fair, what's the actress's name?
Ashley Lawrence.
She's in it. It's a cameo that was apparently actually shot on a video camera, but she really brings it. Like, she doesn't phone in the performance.
Yeah, I mean, Hellraiser is what gave her a break. It was introducing Ashley Lawrence in the first one. And, like, we are speaking of her, I think she was a victim of that was the look at the time, and Winona Ryder was chosen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, she was very good in those, and who knows? Like, it might be. So, like, Terry Farrell, the main actress in this, apparently at the time had nearly just given up acting. Like, sometimes people are just like, it's not really for me. And Claire Higgins from the first two, she might have gone back on stage or something. She's in Ready Player One, the fucking Steven Spielberg. You wouldn't even recognize it. It's like a complete throwaway part. But I was like, what the fuck? And then when I rewatched it, I was like, that's her. Like, Jesus. And it's just weird, like, where people end up. That maybe was the career she wanted, fair play.
Yeah.
So then, is this a plot point that I missed or something? But JP Monroe calls up Terry's house.
Joey's house, Terry.
Joey's house to talk to Terry. And he's a little OTT, but it is an OTT kind of a film. Like, come on, babe.
Yeah.
You're thinking about me. And...
But to be fair, like, I mean, I have a lot of issues with this, but that's not one. That's how that bloke would talk.
Bigger fish to...
That's how that bloke would talk.
He's a big kind of a character. He's not doing anything wrong. So, but then the next thing that happens is there's a phone call where someone says to her, congratulations, you got that job in Monterey. And I was like, did I actually miss something that she had applied for some job or something? Or is it just Pinhead fucking around? Or did I miss something?
Do you know what? You might see, again, it's hard to understand. You didn't miss anything. It is just a voicemail.
Okay.
And I totally agree with you. You're kind of like, hang on, what? You know what I mean? And then that obviously drives Terry to... She doesn't want to go to see JP.
But she feels rejected. This is what I mean. She's a well-written character. Like, she feels rejected, so she goes back.
There's some real groundwork put into her. Like.
And but then she leaves a note on the voicemail thing saying, enjoy Monterey, you liar. And it could be an actor thing or something. Although she was good on Deep Space Nine. But Terry Farrell comes back and she reads it. And I was like waiting for her going like, Monterey? But she just kind of looks at it like, enjoy Monterey, you liar. I'm like, give me something here. Like, is she just going to... Like, wouldn't you react more?
Because at least that would have... If she had went Monterey...
Yeah.
And you kind of go, okay, so what's going on?
Yeah.
So...
Or because the way she plays it, I assumed she'd been thinking about a job in Monterey.
Now, it should be... There's obviously nightmares about her father throughout the film, so there's been one, and all of a sudden there's this shadowy figure who doesn't normally pop up, who's speaking to her in her dreams.
When she's watching the videotape of... What's the girl's name again? Ashley
Lawrence. Kirsty Cotton.
The human side of Pinhead's character, also played by Doug Bradley, appears, which I found a little hokey, but he goes, she's telling the truth. Listen to her. And then when she rewinds it, he's not there. And I'm always like, with things like that, I do go, how did it, so he can make it kind of makes some kind of sense, I suppose.
No, but not really, because he explains to her that you have to do everything because I have no power whatsoever in the real world. Yet you can manipulate VHS tapes. You know what I mean?
So maybe slightly hinky there. Is it before? Does she have the dream where she talks to him before or after? It's after, yeah. So. Again, it could have been a better scene than it is, so I think it's okay. Is Terry's now back in JP Monroe's thing, and he's just basically on full heel at this stage, as we kind of tend to say. And he seems to need to get her very close to the pillar.
Yeah. There is something that's really interesting, which, again, it really pisses me off when you watch ostensibly a bad film, and something good happens, and you're like, Jesus Christ, he's had the seeds there to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a part where he's kind of himself, and he walks by the statue himself, and then he switches. So it's like the power of the pillar is, because he completely changes his tack, and it's like he gets a bit more pushy and forceful with her, like, do you know what I mean? And there's even an audible sound as he's walking by it, like, do you know what I mean?
It's, again, the guy, he obviously gave a very committed performance. I think he was probably told go a little too big with it. But again, like, there's the interplay in the scene kind of works, and she just seems so on edge. And, you know, he's trying to talk her into certain things and all this.
Yeah, but because it is, they're kind of back and forth, because it's like, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe she did this to me and all this. And he's like, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you can see how men trick women in that situation. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's completely manipulative.
Yeah, like,
I care about you. I would never do that, even though
he's winking at the camera to us.
Yeah.
You can, in his voice, it doesn't sound like he's hoodwinking her.
No,
like,
you
know
could see it's very plausible that she would kind of believe with this guy, and like obviously he's someone she has some kind of a connection with. So that's all pretty solid stuff. I like that. So then what happens is he wants to give her an old hug to make her feel better.
No, you like, come here.
You come here, yeah. And how does he end up? Oh yeah, he just kind of basically tries to fucking grab her basically. And she pulls a fucking knuckle duster out of somewhere, which they could have set that up, you know, Chekhov's knuckle duster as well.
Yeah.
And I found it somewhat implausible. Maybe the most implausible thing in the film, Keith, that one punch with this knocks him out. I just didn't really believe it. And he's so knocked out that like she fucking is dragging him over. She rolls him over into the
stupid bleeding thing, right? Because I'm sorry, right? I understand that a girl probably wouldn't be able to pick up a man like him.
Yeah, he did.
But you can fucking move him.
Yeah, he did. To be fair, now when she tried to pick him up by the torso, he was real buff. Like it seemed to me like, okay, you'd have trouble. But yes, I actually liked that I kind of played that out. But then he gets sucked into. I actually did like that, how she kind of turned the tables on him. And I wish that they'd made her a bit bigger later on, like she had given herself over, whereas he was kind of forced into it. And I thought there was something there that they didn't really go into.
Because this is where, because Pinhead at this stage has started talking. He's like, bring her to me, boy, now.
Excuse me. Yeah, and he talks her into joining him.
Yeah, because she's going to leg it. She's knocked him out and she's legging it. And he goes, wait.
Yeah, there was a weird, I didn't quite understand. Remember she said earlier to the main character, I never dream. And then he said, I can give you dreams. And I was like, the fuck does that mean, you never dream? I just found it like weird and like, what does that mean? Everyone does.
But you don't dream in a blackout.
Yeah, I found that like that was maybe something from an older draft that they should have maybe just completely gotten rid of.
Yeah.
But I did like, it wasn't like amazing, but I was like, okay, I can see how she was kind of talked into joining and all this, because you know what else has she got going on? Like nothing much. She feels very rejected.
Yeah, and I do look like it's a testament to the actor, because it is pretty good when she's kicking him over and he wakes up and he's like, Terry, no.
Yeah, and I did like, so he gets something like stuck through his fucking head, like some pneumatic device. That I've no problem with, and when she reappears, I've no problem with what they went with.
I hate her, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, good. But there's some other, we'll get into it maybe later. So then we go into kind of an ill-defined, although it's an okay sequence.
No, but it should be pointed out now that, so he didn't need any more blood. He just appears out of the pillar, which makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. He spills out like, is it ectoplasm or something out of it, and it just bursts up and he's back. There is that good shot of him where he kind of puts his hand out to it. That was, you know.
But again, that's not Pinhead.
No.
That's somebody else.
Yeah, it's a change of the concept. Yeah, like completely. Because it was in the first one. It was the guy. Was it Frank? Was that the bad, like the
Frank was the bad guy? Yeah.
Frank was the bad guy. Yeah.
Uncle Frank, come to daddy.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, he was the casting. He was dubbed actually in the first one, but the look of that guy was so perfect. He just looks like this fucking skeezy bastard who would go to the ends of the earth for like the heights of, you know. That was a great film. Anyway, we're not talking about that film. We're talking about another. So we go into her dreams, and the idea is that her dreams for her father are so potent it allowed Pinhead, before he was Pinhead, whatever, the colonel or whatever, or captain, to find her. That's what they say, even though it doesn't make any sense. But to be fair, it's a pretty, like, it's a bit OTT, it's a bit Hollywood, but the World War I flashback scene is actually impressively done for a very low budget, I would say. And I do like, now they got this from the other films, but I like the idea of, he was in World War One. He was so traumatized, he just kept searching for deeper and deeper pleasures, and that's how he ended up with the box. I was like, there's a lot of good stuff going on.
There's meat on the bone there, like,
very much.
Unfortunately, it's just a mention.
Yeah, I can't remember, because some of the stuff with him opening the box is very impressively done. And is that just footage from the second film, or did they shoot it new for this?
The one thing that I can confirm is, that I know, is when the shot of him where it's tracking down and he's just sitting down. Yeah, that's from previous film.
Okay, but I think that's the one I noticed. Yeah.
The whole, see, I can't remember now if where he's actually transforming into Pinhead is in the second one as well. But I know that tracking shot is definitely from a previous film.
Okay, I think some of it was anyway, because Ashley Lawrence is in it, and it is just the end of the second one. But yeah, it's okay, that stuff. I don't really think that you need it. I don't know that I think you rob Pinhead of a bit of his power by explaining who he was, and now he had a human side, and now it's dead or separated or something. It's all very vague.
Clive Barker, I'll bring it up now. Clive Barker had an original idea to make a third Hellraiser film, and Pinhead wasn't in it. So it was to go back to the original Cenobite. And the original lament configuration was the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Okay.
and that is cool.
Yeah.
That is an idea.
That's not bad. Yeah.
And that's literally, that was it. It was at the idea stage. It never went any further because nobody was interested in making it. But that could have been so cool.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's nice. Yeah.
So there was an original Cenobite 5,000 years ago or whatever.
There is some kind of hints of that in the fourth one, which I don't dislike as much as some people do, even though it's very flawed.
And I know we're kind of jumping around a bit, but like in the fourth one, it's in 1776 or something. Yeah. And it's like, no, Pinhead was created in World War One. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The fourth one, I just kind of like some of the ideas in it more than I like the finished thing, let's say. And again, it just kind of does deliver on the gore, but we'll hop back, we'll maybe cover 4 at another time, but this one, so yeah, does he even really explain much of it? Like he just kind of says, if you get him here,
you need to bring him to my dominion, where I have power. Well, hang on,
which is dreams or something, or?
Yeah, well, no, because she asks him, am I dreaming? And he goes, no. Do you know what I mean? So she is asleep, but she's not really dreaming, because he brings her to India and he brings her.
Yeah, there is a bit now where I think lack of commitment comes up, where she walks through the wall and he's like, it obviously is, he's not really that person she's seeing. This is like a vision or something. And she's like, hey, and she's like, hey, I am talking to you. And I was like, she should be pushing this a bit more, like, hey, I'm talking. Like, it just came off very flat. Yeah. And whether it was direction or, her or whatever, the director maybe wasn't paying that close attention to how she was performing it. I don't know, but she could have been a bit better there, let's say. And I don't know. It just, like, some of that was okay. And there's a lot of deleted stuff actually that was in the director's cut version, or the longer version of the walk through the trenches. But the last time I watched it, I watched just the regular theatrical cut. And to be honest, you don't really miss that stuff, even though some of it's
like that part in the dream. We'll just call it dream sequence for better or worse, where she's actually walking up the trench. In the director's cut version, I said that takes about 2 minutes, because it's all different inserts of bodies and what have you, like, and it's just
a review I read of someone kind of retrospectively who liked it says, well, it echoes the nightclub massacre later, which I'm like, yes it does. Yes it does. To what end? I don't know. Like, it grand, like, And we'll so obviously we learn human. What's the name? Elliot Spencer, Captain Elliot Spencer, or something like that. So, yeah. And so he explains that you must get him back to your apartment, and through the window that she just went through. Yeah, which seems oddly specific. And I will say he's okay, but I think Doug Bradley is on another. He's not like we talked last week about Anthony Perkins, who can play one type of the character, one half of the character brilliantly, and the other half brilliantly. He's only like a 6 out of 10 when he's the regular guy. He's brilliant. He's 10 out of 10. No one knows it. There's just something about and again, I don't want to put it all on him, because I don't think the director was putting a lot of attention into the performances here. He's a little lacking, I found, or those scenes lack a little oomph with him as just his regular self, which I wouldn't put all the blame on him. Let's just say there. But we come then to, you know, again, 12-year-old me would have loved this. This is the nightclub massacre.
So what happens is Joey turns on Channel 12 and there's been a massacre. There's trouble at the boiler room.
Yeah.
And so she rings
and
Doc.
then when she shows up, everyone's gone. Yeah.
No, but she rings Doc.
Yeah.
And goes, will you meet me?
Over cameraman.
Yeah. Well, meet me there. Check, and he checks Channel 12. There's nothing on it. And then so she leaves and you see that the telly isn't even plugged in.
Ah, jeez, I must have been fucking zoned out.
Well,
the cops.
We can forgive you for that.
Yeah,
but, so she arrives, obviously, and there's nobody there. So she brought the lament configuration as well, because she's one thing that's a good point, that a plot point is Pinhead can't take it from her.
Has to be given.
He has to give. She has to give it to him, which is what human.
And someone online did complain about, like we were talking about retconning, like. Apparently for this guy anyway, it was a big thing. Like, your fingers will just open the box, and he was like, no, you have to want to open the box. That's why it opens. And that is to be fair, now that particular detail doesn't bother me, but it speaks to the larger thing of this film, which they've kind of jettisoned the whole, like, Pinhead now is someone who'll come to you and kill you, but it used to be you've been so wicked that you'll eventually find him, or somehow you're mixed up with someone who'll get you involved with this fucking guy, and it's a very big difference. But then the nightclub massacre, fairly good for what it is. Like, it's entertaining. I would say.
No,
go on,
because there's some great there's some great effects and stuff, like, but it's not Pinhead, and because you know me. I'm really particular. Like, I love Michael Myers. I love what he does. I love Freddy Krueger. I love Pinhead. And what they've done to him in this, it just make a mockery of everything that he's meant to be.
He is Freddy Krueger now.
Exactly.
Like, just killing people in intensive
and
ways.
the fact that he's just standing there, laughing for 5 minutes while the whole massacre, like, that's not interesting even. Like, do you know what I mean?
As someone who likes kind of practical effect, I keep saying, like, I'm not a big horror fan, but I do enjoy that kind of thing, especially when they're done well. I think a lot of them were reshoots, actually.
They were. Clive Barker was showing, he goes, you need to, because apparently it was a lot of wides and a lot of mids of what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And Clive Barker saw that and said, no, well, I need to see her face come off. I need to see this happen. Okay.
Well, to be fair to him now, he's more commercial instincts than you might think, like, because this is what the teenage audience or whatever, wanted.
Because Clive Barker himself has said that, like, if you're going to do it, if you're going to change it, you do it properly. Like,
go hard or go home.
Don't change it and make a bleeding crap film. Like,
on that level, but like on the level of just like being given a show, I think I'd stand by it. Like, it's a decent enough sequence, but in terms of like the first two, it's especially the first one.
My issues are it's not Pinhead, and then, but in terms of the actual shooting of it and the different effects and stuff, it's all right. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's well done. Like, you'd be getting your money's worth if you're just like, I've heard of Pinhead and he's scary.
I'm telling you now, because if you look at when Hellraiser came out, I'm sure a lot of people went to that and went, "Where's all the where's this?" Like,
where's the blood and guts?
Yeah, exactly.
This is just unnerving.
Because at the time it was the 80s, so that's what people went to see horror for. Do you know what I mean? It was the slasher decade.
I think the great thing about it is it delivers enough of that you wouldn't feel shortchanged, but it is up to something else. Yeah, which I think is the second one is I'm not as familiar. The third, this is just playing to the the multiplex and all this. Yeah. So then she
finds Doc.
Shows up, and he's had his head cut off.
And so he's holding the head in his hands, and he has the camera on his. Where his head used to be.
The head in his hands was grand. The camera where his head used to be, like that.
That's right. But do you reckon that's the actor? And like he's just up to his neck somewhere?
I think so,
because that's too good.
It looked too much like an actual head, And like it's okay. It must have been fairly expensive that because there's so many extras, and then he has another soliloquy like Pinhead, and I can't even really remember what he said.
There's not great lines.
Which is not a good sign.
He doesn't have great lines up until we get to the church. Like, it's just talking. It's just they've taken the idea of the philosophical kind of spectre of Pinhead, and they've turned it into long swathes of like speeches, and it's like it doesn't work.
Yeah. I think some of it, I'm just like, did they go, well, he's kind of a British actor. They tend to be on stage. They talk for a long time, right? Let's make him more talkative. Really good.
It's not that they, like, literally the studio note saying, we want him to be essentially, because he's not, you in the first two, you can't describe him as a main character. And he's essentially like the main bad in this, like.
No question. Yeah. No, he is like the slasher villain in this, basically. Yeah. Well, then we get to, so if you watch the first film and then someone whispered in your ear after you saw it, in the third film, there'll be a guy with a camera for an eye and fucking CDs stuck in his head who throws CDs at him, and the other guy breathes. No, but hang on,
before we get to that, so what happens is, after the thing is, he tries to take the box from Joey, and he gets electrocuted or whatever. A Cenobite gets done to him.
Yeah.
And so there's a big chase here. So she's running off and he's going to follow her. Now here is where it gets peak 90s action. Yeah, like, that's what it is.
It is. It's lit. The whole film kind of is lit like an action film.
What is the crack with the pyrotechnics? Yeah, every second thing is going on fire, and it's fucking.
That's like, real Hollywood.
That's 90s. That's 90s.
Yeah, like, 90s. And like the three of them, I just find the fact that it's CDs. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
Guys.
So one thing we didn't mention is Jordan the Massacre. We can see this stupid shot of your man like this. And the CDs going
like, oh, what? They're spinning CDs inside it, and then they stick into them. Jesus.
And then the fireman gets done.
I will just throwing this out there. I don't think the answer to it, but you know the way we hear like old music, like in The Shining, like midnight, and we're like, ooh, that's kind of creepy. Our CDs so antiquated now that kids would watch this and go, oh. Because there is no equivalent for us.
Because that's the thing, like, music out of a gramophone sounds creepier than...
Yeah, but like, if it were like, even if it were records, like, which have kind of made a resurgence, like, people our age would be like, come on. Like, CDs are a little more ridiculous because they were just kind of this very popular consumer thing at the time. That I don't like. The cameraman with the camera for an eye, I think it just is the wrong side of ridiculous.
This is where it does lean into... almost parody, even as dialogue. Like,
well, there's a silly sensibility to it, even though it's not comedic. Where I like the pneumatic drills in J.P. Monroe's head. They're in keeping with the whole thing. I think.
Now, but some of the lines, like, so obviously Joey happens across this guy and he's like, "What's going on? Calm down, girl."
Oh Jesus!
And then obviously Doc or camera guy or whatever you call him, picks him up and shoots him through the chain, the lens goes through his head. And he turns around to Joey and says, "Are you ready for your close-up, bitch?" or something like that. Like,
he says something like that. Yeah,
and it's atrocious. Just atrocious. Like.
It's awful. It's very bad. And then, as bad as it is, then the cops show up who are clearly stunt people because they cannot fuck. There's actually a great little moment because their acting is terrible. I will say now, the pyrotechnics of it, the visual side of it, and all that is pretty good, and the sound effects of the gunshots and all that, well done. But there's a bit just before they blow up where there's like too much of a pause and the two stunt people are kind of looking at each other with their arms and you're like, and it goes on for like 1 second longer. They're waiting for an explosion and it is so fucking comedically fucking, it's so wrong.
It's like, just we often talk about perfect timing and shots and that wasn't there.
No, that was not there, no.
And so we continue on the run.
To be fair now, that sequence looks very expensive and they did do this film fairly on the cheap, so some points there. So the bit in the church is
that's interesting,
better,
and this is where
the fucking guy playing the priest doing like it seems to be an Irish accent or something like.
Now, this is interesting, and again, this is one of the things where you're like, it's such a bad film, but why did you have to give me a glimpse of hope?
Yeah,
because as he's walking in, because the priest is like, demons are just allegories; they're not real. Like,
my child,
and then you're talking about the lack of a commitment by Terry Farrell. She just turns around and goes, "Well, what the fuck is that?" Do you know what I mean? Really not.
Yeah.
Because literally the previous sentence she says she's all, and then it's just, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? And then it's obviously Pinhead, and there's some really cool stuff where he's walking up the aisle of the church and the windows are smashing.
Yeah, it's there's something there like him in a church, you know.
And he has the lion, so the priest goes all full exorcist and puts the crucifix in his face, and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to butcher the line, but it's about don't put your faith in something or else, and it melts into his hand.
Oh yeah, and false idols. Graven images or something.
Graven images, that's the one.
Yeah.
And then this I thought was really good, where he marches up to I didn't need him when he goes up to the altar and he does the whole fucking angry secretary and knocks everything off. I didn't need that, but when he stands there and he mimics the crucifixion, that's really good.
That's good, yeah, and it's getting at something, you know, like he's making a mockery of that whole thing, and then
but he has this is one of his fantastic lines: "Is I am the way."
Yes,
and
that's
it's
good
brilliant.
stuff. Yeah.
And then, so obviously, it cuts back then to the priest, and he's going over, and he's going, "You'll burn in hell for this." And his other great line is, "Burn such feeble imaginations."
Yeah,
like what a line.
That speaks to the character. Yeah,
that is perfect. Yeah,
I will say, because I criticized it a second ago, like the priest seemed to have like an Irish accent. Have you ever been to a mass in another country? Because I went to my cousin's confirmation in the UK. And I found a genuine uncanny valley that the priest had a British accent, because I was like, I can't handle this in a non-Irish accent. There was something very weird about it. So maybe the film is more is more realistic than I thought. So then, when I rewatched it now, I wasn't surprised, because she just runs out of the church and then she's in a completely different location. Yeah.
Right. So before we get into this, I'll explain what Peter Atkins, is that the name that wrote?
I think so. Yeah.
What he had originally handed in. Joey returns to her apartment, which is exactly where human Pinhead told her she had to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you mentioned as a plot point there earlier, I was like, wait a minute. Does that happen? Yeah.
And so what was meant to happen is there's a fracas or whatever in it's not available to read, so it's just going off what he said. So she defeats some of the Cenobites. And she's about to send them Pinhead back to hell, and he bargains with her. And the camera pans away. We see the lament configuration, and she's now all of a sudden boss bitch. So
that's actually, I don't know that it would have really worked, but it's interesting.
But that's just anecdotally from the man's mouth. It's not fleshed out in the screenplay. Like that could have been, because it actually gives her stakes. And it gives her a moral quandary to deal with. Whereas now, we're about to get in the actual ending, nothing happens. Yeah,
it is just kind of smoke and mirror. You can kind of see the reshootness of it, because JP Monroe is now, pneumatic drill head. And I did like...
And he looks great.
Yeah, didn't like Terry with... I actually thought the cigarette thing
is
was
cool,
okay.
but they ran out of makeup in the middle of her face.
Okay, right. Okay,
like, she doesn't look like a Cenobite. She has the big white head all around here. She's similar to Lady Cenobite in the original too.
They couldn't get her back, or they didn't want to fly those guys over.
Yeah. But so it's like your fucking Chung one doing her makeup, and except it's the inverted. So do you ever see the Chung ones and their makeup stops here? Do you know what I mean? Whereas hers is lack of in the middle of the face.
Yeah.
She looks normal in the middle of the face. She's not a fucking Cenobite.
Yeah. By the way, the amount of times I've had to explain to students in the school, like, what's up with those orange girls? Although it must be slightly going out of fashion, I don't get asked about it enough. And I do have a crackpot theory on that, but that's for another time. I could see the reshootedness of it, because what happens is it just kind of reeks of reshoots, because what happens is they just start walking in circles. And he seems to be kicking her, and she seems to be... And it just seems like, all right, we need something that's really easy to do.
And it's too long,
we can do quick, and it goes on too long.
Yeah, because you see... Pinhead arrives over the hill, like, and they're just, it reminds me of like a 90s music video or something. Do you know what I mean? Something like, because it's almost like that dancing, like your woman's like,
it's
touching on with the cigarette and everything.
It's just, as I say, struck me, like reshoots tend to be very loud and busy, but they're like, well, we don't actually want explosions going off or anything,
Here's the question I wanted to ask you. Pinhead has a line of dialogue here, and he goes, more people and more Cenobites or whatever, in some stupid line about your flesh. And he goes, I have it written down. Shadows of my former troops. Describing the Cenobites. So do you reckon that's the writer going, I know these are shit?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, because it was a lot of studio. We want them to be more, do you know what I mean? Maybe, I kind of hope it's a writer that's
a little, Jeez, I didn't even notice it, to be honest. I was not taking the film very seriously.
It is genuinely scary. Genuinely scary. Even now when I rewatched them, when the Cenobites in the original 2 start showing up, even the more kind of caricature Cenobite in the second one, has.
Well, you always get a feeling you're in their domain.
Yeah.
And this is like eternity. And like, what are the rules here? They have all the power, and oh fuck, I'm in a really sticky. This is like the real world, and they're just kind of monsters you're fighting against. You know, like it is just very, as Lars Ulrich could say, kind of stock.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And then just without anything have happened, she opens the box and they're all gone.
I always find whenever anyone opens the box in any of the films, I do find myself going like, how is this a puzzle box? Because you don't move anything on it, you just kind of rub it.
Yeah.
Even in the first one, which is like a masterpiece.
Do you know what really annoys me about this though? They put on the sound effect because she has blood in her hands, and they put on the squeaky, squeegee on a window sound, and it's like that's not.
Well, the whole thing is really weird because then she opens it and she just kind of drops it, and her reaction for like the next minute is, "Oh fuck, I've completely fucked this up." But everyone else looks scared
because she does mention that. Oh, it's not my apartment. After they all go back into the box,
does she?
She just goes, "But I wasn't in my apartment."
Oh God,
Elliot.
Jesus Christ, I was really not. I didn't have the phone out or anything. I missed all this shit. It was. Pinhead seems to fight against being zapped, so they all just get zapped back into the box. He seems to fight it a bit, and then she's back in the dream world, and her dad. I thought this was really stupid. Actually, she's talking to her dad, and he's like, "Oh, it's so great to see you," and they told me you'd give me something. So
but it's not that. No, but it's dialogue before that. Someone came to me and said, "My daughter's down the well." Well, you're in a field, so what well?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But then she goes, and then what I found, the whole thing is not clever, but like I found the bit of like, they told me you'd give me something. I'm like, okay, it's the movie thing of the villain tree. Yeah. What I thought was stupid was she goes, "How did you know my name?" I was like, "Well, he's your dream father." Like that's the least of the fucking problems here. Like that would it was one of those things. You're like, oh fuck me.
And then,
but like, yeah, okay.
But I do have to say, so what happens next is Pinhead obviously transforms. Our father transforms back into Pinhead.
Yeah.
And
this was a reshoot because they put her in the BDSM kind of stuff after that. Which was a note I can. Kind of get behind it.
But that was a Clive Barker.
Take a shot, guys. I made a sexual innuendo there.
That was Clive Barker.
Yeah. Smart guy.
We need the creature and all coming up from below and all. None of that was in it.
Yeah. Which you do, like again, that stuff. As much as I just kind of appreciate the visual of it, like it does work in the world of it. Like he just has a more of an idea of how this should go than the rest of them. Yeah. And then I don't love the scene because I think the writing isn't great, but like the showdown between Pinhead and his former self, I'm like, oh, okay. Even though I don't really understand the metaphysics of it, like
even the shot, like the shot's a weird shot, even for the film, because it doesn't. If you remember, Pinhead is very close, and you see Joey in the background, and it's just it's a widescreen. So, but you can see that it is because his face is misshapen.
Yeah, I have to say now, I don't particularly like shots like that. And like I said, I mentioned the big wide angle lens when she moved the thing, and a lot of the big camera moves, they're very incongruent with the series visual style. Yeah. But I have to say, they make the film look a bit more expensive than it is. Like I think it's called a split diopter, which is like, geez, you just do it with a green screen now, but like literally the lens can focus on two different planes, and it does just make it look a little more expensive than it is, which is not particularly good for the film overall. But like, look, it's a skill set in and of itself. Like Michael Bay's films look more expensive than they tend to look at compared to the fucking Russo brothers films. Like Michael Bay's films look like they're made on fucking way bigger scale, like So it is a skill in and of itself, and it's not easy to make good visuals. So fair play to him there.
The choppy dialogue between Elliot and Pinhead it's just like, oh, you like her better this way, and it's like,
I am just like, why? What's going to win the battle for the good guy here over the bad guy? I just didn't get.
But there is a big long pause, which I found very annoying, where he goes, he's basically telling him we can take over the world, like, do you know what I mean? And then Elliot, human Pinhead, stops, and Terry's in a bad situation there, do you know what I mean?
The poor woman, like,
and but it's too long of a pause, so it's to give you the feeling that he's thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then he has a line. See, I don't even remember now.
I can't remember anything they said to each other, like, which is very bad. Like,
for your big final showdown, essentially.
Yeah.
And so he grabs him by the hand, and
He drops a box. Yeah.
And they start morphing into one.
Yeah, I did like some of those effects.
Because some of them are practical.
Yeah, they've one or two hinky, very low res looking CGI ones. This was only the year of Jurassic Park, so the fact they used it at all, I suppose, fair play. But some of the visual, like, they're not necessarily realistic, but like they're cool. Like, you know, there's something more to it.
There's one shot where it's practical, where it's...
Yeah, the head, it's very like The Thing, like twisted, which is good. They do a little more of that, and I think in the fourth one, there are two characters who are literally joined at the head like that, which I thought was kind of cool. They were identical twins. Anyway, fuck it. That's the fourth one.
And so we assume Pinhead is somehow taking over the battle because he comes back and he goes, "Now, where were we?"
Yeah, and then just explode.
I think he morphs back into human Pinhead, but he's dressed in the leather. And what was it he says? See, I don't even remember.
It's not a good sign. Yeah, there's people out there fucking seething like, they're like, oh, this is the best fucking.
Yeah.
Look, if you watch this at a certain age, I could see really liking it.
See, the thing is, this is one of them films that I remembered being really good. Yeah. But I haven't seen it in about 8 years. Like.
It gives you a good show, I will say that.
Yeah.
But
it's memorable.
If you'd seen it before the other ones, I could see it really working. You know, especially if you saw like when you. I'm not knocking like if I saw this now when I was 18 and hadn't seen the first two, I'd be like, that was pretty good. But and then seeing the first two. Like,
I'm not even going to pretend like I know what happens. Like, do you know what I mean? She ends up all right.
Yeah,
and it ends. She buries the lament configuration in concrete, and then the next shot is an office building with the lament configuration all over the place.
Yeah, which
leads into Bloodlines. Like.
Which leads into the fourth one. Yeah, which that was okay. Although I thought it was a little obscure. Like it's
horrible CGI.
Or
because you can see that the people are walking. And they're not, and
they're shaking a bit. And there's actually, I think the things on the top and bottom are like all right, but then there's one that's meant to be like on the floor.
A table. It's like a table. Yeah.
Don't look at it. Don't look over there. Look over here. Yeah.
But so
ends Hellraiser 3. Yeah. Like, as I say, if the year is 1992. Well. It would have, what age would I been? The year is 1997. You just finished playing Sega Mega Drive. It's Halloween and you have your bottle of fucking Coca-Cola and your crisps. Your friend puts in the VHS of Hellraiser 3. Life is good. That is the perfect audience for this film. It would work for that audience.
Yes. Whereas Hellraiser or Hellraiser 2 I'm definitely more mature.
They're
dealing with themes and stuff that you're not going to get as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's not to say that like a 12-year-old whatever wouldn't.
It's not highfalutin though.
It's not pretentious or anything. But like, I just think as a grown-up or someone slightly more mature, there's something genuinely unnerving going on there. Like what the first one is just like a masterpiece of. Really, that's what I'd kind of nearly compare it to The Shining, even though it's obviously more of a gory kind of a thing. Like, it's getting at things that grown-ups relate to, like the hatred of like someone you're supposed to be close to, and like nasty feelings, and like being trapped in a situation, and all the really great stuff going on. This is about CD throwing monsters and fucking people getting their heads
fire breathing
Cenobites. Yeah, people blowing up and shit. Like, which lot to be said for that. You know, you're paying your money, you want the spectacle.
Now, after all that.
Yeah,
I'm going to begin with why this film could never have worked.
Oh?
No, Ashley Lawrence. I know she shows up in it. She
is the true line, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
This is the continuing adventures of Pinhead, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because... I'd love to... Like, did she not want to do it? Did she say, I'll just do that? Like, what was the... Like... This film loses immediately because there's no Ashley Lawrence. It's like, hang on, what? Even in the Halloween series, when Laurie Strode drops off, it kept the true line of her niece or whatever. Like, it kept the continuity there. Whereas this is just, she pops up in a video. Everything is thrown out. Now, she does appear again in Hellseeker. Hellraiser, yeah.
Okay, Jesus. Because they made a bunch of them just to keep the copyright and all that.
Yeah, direct to video and all. Like, but,
they did a remake. Did you see that?
No, the female Pinhead.
Really?
Yeah.
As Ben Shapiro might say. Look, I haven't seen it, I won't comment, but if it's, to be honest, like whether it were male or female, if it's not Doug Bradley, I would have kind of issues with it. Yeah.
No, I did see one. I think it was called Hellraiser Judgment. And it wasn't. It was the first one without Doug Bradley.
Yeah, I've heard.
And that wasn't a bad one.
Yeah,
that really wasn't bad.
Okay, yeah, I think you do just kind of. Did you ever hear the story of the guys on Red Letter Media? They went to a horror con thing, and it was so poorly advertised that nearly no one showed up. And the guy, I really do like the Red Letter Media guys. The guy Mike Soclasa, he was telling the story of like, because like the people who go to those, like the stars or whatever, they, you know, that's money in their pocket, like that they kind of need, you know. And he says it was so poorly advertised, no one showed up. And he said he saw Doug Bradley, like Pinhead, going up to the guy, grabbing him by the collar, like, "You fucking idiot! How did you fuck this?" So bad. So there's obviously a bit of an edge to the guy, like, but like, there's a reason that like he's become an icon into him. Like, there is something to that performance. So replacing him with anyone, whether it's male, female, or whatever, like I would.
Like, I mean, he is getting on now at this stage. Like, do you know
I would say so. Yeah, I think, yeah. To be fair, like, but like again, it would just have to be another good actor.
Yeah,
like I could well imagine, like, if I heard fucking Jesus, it was like Julianne Moore or something, I'd be like, well, she's a great actress. Maybe she brings something to it. That's why I reacted. I'm just making an apology for sounding a bit sexist there. Come on, Keith. Why would this film have nenever worked? That was 5 minutes of the podcast, just to make sure I don't get cancelled.
But I have a real issue with just because I think Ashley Lawrence is a really talented actress. I really do. Like, and she got a big break of introducing Ashley Lawrence in Hellraiser. She's great in the second one, and even in the video, she's really good in it. She doesn't phone it in. Like, so I'd love to know. Like, if that video was her and she's almost comatose and like she's phoning that in,
just needed the
but
money,
she really fucking gives it. So I want to know why. Like, that's just the answers to questions on that.
I did a bit of research on this and I read up on it. It just seems like she wasn't someone they really factored into it. They thought about Claire Higgins.
Claire Higgins was meant to be the big bad throughout.
Yeah,
and Pinhead would be around,
and obviously then Pinhead, but she didn't, which is a shame. Do you know the ultimate? Because what happened this week with someone we lost, I won't put a timestamp on it. The ultimate example of that, of someone coming in for one scene in a sequel and then killing it. James Caan in Godfather 2, like fucking the way they do it, and he hadn't brilliant stuff. But I would mention, it's actually such a small little niche. I would put it on that level. Like, she really came in and fucking brought it. Like, not to compare the two films, quality wise, but like it does say something for her that she'd come in and, as you say, didn't phone it in. Really brought it. I'd take your point. I'd have to really rewatch second one. I don't remember it near as well as the first one.
It's definitely a bit more out there than...
Yeah, it's a bit more kind of concept and like a bit grander scale and all that than the first one, but it was of a piece with the first one. Yeah.
It's definitely a continuation. Like, it's not...
Yeah,
it's a bit more fantastical when they go into the...
Well, they just had that great villain of his name was Chenard, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and that guy, he was brilliant. Like, this creepy fucking guy. He was like,
and even as he turns in, because that's how you do a Cenobite. If you want to make him a bit more fantastical, he was horrific, and he's getting carried around on the arm and everything.
Yeah,
like it was
brilliant. There's a great interview with that actor actually, I think, on the Blu-ray set where he was talking about, because he's also in Layer Cake. He's kind of the vulgar criminal in Layer Cake. I can't remember the actor's name. But he was talking about, like, at the time, he's like, I remember Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman was like, has he got that part? Because me and Gary were for the same parts at the time. And I was like, whoa, that could have been a very different history. Gary Oldman is a fucking Cenobite or whatever. I'd pay to see that, you know. But yeah, they took the Britain out of it. And contrary to how we normally are on the podcast, that was a bad thing.
No, it's true. Because, I mean, there was very much a British sensibility to the first two.
Yeah, like, again, I
more
think
so the first one, but the second one as well.
And it was just like a dowdiness and like a grey overcast kind of feel to them, you know?
There's something about Claire Higgins though. You can see her walking into the pub on Brookside or something, like, do you know what I mean? She doesn't look out of place, like.
No, yeah, that was the great thing, is it was the character and her performance that kind of made... She was a good looking woman at the time. I haven't seen her in many years. I should maybe just say is a good looking woman. I fucked it up now. But yeah, at the same time, she wasn't like the women in this who are very just kind of the Hollywood glamour kind of a thing, and maybe a little less sexy because of it. Yeah. On that note.
Now, so
Pinhead is the non-submersible unit. Moving on. I think for people who do like this, the pyrotechnic aspect of it, and they give it. I think for the people who like it, though, I think that's what they like. Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, it is what makes it stand out from the other ones.
Like, obviously, a non-submersible unit is what makes the film memorable.
Good and memorable. Yeah, sometimes good, sometimes memorable. But
I'll have to do a memorable one.
Yeah, fair enough.
The Cenobites. I will never forget them. How stupid they are. and how unscared. Like, I swear to God, I think about Lady Cenobite. In me walking around, I'll just get a vision and it'll be like
Men with the Roman Empire. You think about it 3 times a day.
Exactly. So that or World War II.
Yeah.
No, but honest to God, that's how horrific, how scarred it was when I first saw her, and the way she talks and everything. Like, and that's a non-submersible unit that's both good and memorable. Yeah. Whereas this is just like, they're comedic, they're stupid, they're caricatures. The caricatures of what a Cenobite should be. Yeah. But written by some American prick in his office, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No argument there. I can't. Pinhead is in this, and he's very memorable. That's the only other thing I could say.
And he is, like, 'cause I mean, they just give him too much to say because he has some great lines. Like he always had.
Yeah, it was a few. It was more thoughtful production and a few rewrites away from being the good version of what it wanted to be. Basically, yeah, which is also unfortunate. Having said that, I will probably give it a slightly higher mark than you would think. I'd give it a 2 out of 5. If now 1 for me is the rock bottom. Like, I don't have a 0 out of 5, so 1 is the bottom. So I would give it a 2. In that,
I know you like whole numbers, but I'll go 1.5. It's not quite the worst piece of crap I've ever seen, but I do. If you haven't noticed, I do get quite animated about just the fact that they've just fucking completely messed with what it's meant to be. Like,
something that was very good, yeah.
And it's just, that's heartbreaking. Like, it's a shame. What could have been?
Yeah, I would actually even go so far as to say I think 4 fits in better with the first 2, even though I
haven't seen that in a while. I remember not liking it because I didn't like the aspect of...
I could be talking out my hoop now because I remember I watched it on this and they have an alternate version of it on this that was like a long lost, there's actually a good version of this out there. And I was like, and people will disagree with this. I was like, okay, the final version is better than the other one because they made it a family kind of history kind of a thing. Like, that was, I don't know what the fuck the process was, but the film now, finished film, is so different from the work print version. And then there's apparently another work print version that's really, really different. It was a really fucking horrendous production on that one. Though I will say for the 4th one, I remember a cousin of mine was in hospital here. He's from Galway, but he was up here for like a thing on his hand. And this just to speak where the film sits in the consciousness, there was some owl lad in a bed beside him, and you had to rent a television, and they showed number 4 on RTE2 or something at night. And my cousin was telling me a story. I was like, the lad in the bed next to me was like, "Hi, come here, Hellraiser's on." And it was a bit where, it's actually a very good bit where like a thing gets shot through a guy's neck, it comes out the other side, and then it splits open, and it makes like 2 knives on the other side, and it pulls it back and cuts the guy's head off. And apparently the 2 lads in a hospital ward late at night in some fucking hospital here were having a great old time with it. But like, the guy said, "Hellraiser's on," as in a Hellraiser, and you had a certain expectation of what that was, and that met their expectations. So what can you say to that? Yeah,
I hope they didn't survive.
Yeah. And my cousin's still with us. The other guy was getting on a bit. Who knows?
On that bombshell, we hope you've enjoyed the Halloween October sessions.
Spooky season, yeah.
Yeah, I hope we've done interesting films, I think.
Yeah, they're films that people...
They live in the consciousness. Like,
yeah, sure do, yeah. Whether we like it or not.
Yes. For better or worse.
On that bombshell, so like and subscribe, guys. Should we do a Patreon? Stuff. You tell us. Would you contribute? If yes, let us know. We'd be glad to take your money.
Just
no harm, no foul.
Forget I asked.
See you later. Take care, guys.